And here we go. I think we're live now on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And if you're joining me right now, or if you're checking this out later on the YouTube channel, then welcome. And just to give you an introduction, my name is JD Thomas. I'm a business and communication advisor with Jade Strategic Relations. And the purpose of these Thursday videos is to provide the public, provide people, business owners, people just in general with communication and business tips that will help them grow and help you with your business, help you as a communicator. Even with the communication, although I focus a lot on the business side of communications, whether you're a public speaker or public relations for your business, my goal is really to help people become better communicators. And I will be getting some of these Thursday live videos more than in other of my tips, more just on common everyday communication, because that's a skill which people really need to consider that they need to develop and work on. And it's something that we can all use as better communication skills, and whether it be just interpersonal, interrelationship, or external to the world. And so these tip videos are an opportunity to provide some ideas, some information that is out there that can help you. And today's focus, of course, is on businesses. And with the rising, of course, inflation, which is starting to come down in most areas in the world, but is still pretty high. And we have rising costs associated with that. And just in general, as the natural progression goes on in life and things get more expensive. And as well, there's all sorts of other challenges going on right now with the potential, recession. How are they trying to balance that? And so, as business owners, it's difficult often to understand how to get your business stable and how to protect yourself. Especially small businesses and entrepreneurs, people get into business because of a craft, because of a product or set of products that they like, they believe in, and it's what you get into the business for. And unless you went into business, you went to school for economics, or you get an MBA or a business diploma, your goal in business is to provide a service, to provide products. It's to help the world through something that you're doing. And so the business of business is not always something that people are very good at and not experienced at, or maybe they were experienced and this is another time around. But the operations to provide that allow you to provide those services, whether even as a public communicator, as I said in one of my earlier tip videos, as being a stage speaker, it's a business, and we need to consider ourselves as businesses. And when troubled times come up, we need to protect ourselves. And so what I would like to do today is share some ways that you can help yourself, help your business out as we get into these uncertain times. Definitely, we're not sure how things are going. Time will tell on that. But the tips we're going to give here today aren't just necessarily solely in this realm of, okay, bad times are coming. If you want to become more profitable, if you want to become, just make your life easier, then a lot of these tips will help you as a business owner. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to cover off three common mistakes that happen with businesses. And it's not that I'm going to, that these mistakes are 100% of the mistakes, but they're mistakes in the context of, are you doing these things with the appropriate mindset? And so that is also very important. And so what we do is I'm going to cover off the three common mistakes that we find with businesses. And laying off staff is one of the first things that people do. It's a big cost center in your finances. Having staff, if you have them, is it's important. It's important to have staff because it enables you to increase your business. But by laying off staff and being kind of your default go-to, what happens is that you reduce the serviceability to your customers and your clients. You reduce your ability to provide the experience that you want them to have. And maybe there is some room in your business that you can cut because you grew, but you think going back to when you as a business may hire somebody, There's two different pain points that you can cover, so that when it comes to growth. And the first one is the pain point of you're overworked, over servicing, overdoing it, trying to service customers, trying to provide the services, providing products. And you get to a point where you're just so busy that you're trying to develop the money so you can hire, you're trying to bring in the money so you can hire people out. And what happens though is you end up with a potential issue with your service levels. And it could be in customer service at the beginning during the sale. It could be in post after a sale and customer care for troubleshooting and problems. But by having reduced staff in order to try to develop the money to have on hand to pay, what ends up happening is you hurt your potential future business because your service levels are low. And the other pain point is you invest early in a new staff, which allows you to grow, but then of course it cuts on your profitability and how much you're making, or even whether or not you can even get to profitability. And there's different ways of funding to get you there. There are grants and whatnot, but when you start off a business or when you've got a business and you're starting to grow and you want to hire people, it's great because you're getting people employed, you're helping out, making sure your customers are satisfied. But when times come, the troubled times come, people find the first thing to do is, okay, I got to lay off the staff. And of course, if you reduce your serviceability, reduce your ability to help ensure the customer's experience is good, then it's going to affect you as a business. And if you have multiple employees, again, you end up creating a vacuum. If you lay off one person of a group, then the duties that person was taking on has to then go off to other people. And when that happens, the other people in the groups end up being overworked and they end up having overcommitment and they're not happy. And that leaves the potential for them to leave, leaving you again short-staffed. So you have to be careful that if you have multiple people and you're laying off somebody, you have to make sure that it makes sense to the business and you have to make sure that it is appropriate. And there's a story I heard about not calling it a head count, you're calling it a heart count, because it's harder to lay off a heart than it is the head. And if you think about people as them, and Richard Branson has a great way of thinking of, you treat your employees as if they're number one, they'll treat your customers as if they're number one. But if the employees start getting strained, then that cascades down and it affects your business. So making sure that if you're going to do it, lay off or reduce your workforce, do it in a way that's going to be positive, not going to be an overly negative detriment. And you can even ask maybe for a short period of time for staff to make adjustments, maybe a couple extra hours fewer during a week. Maybe it's that you take a small pay cut for a period of time. And I've been in a large company that did this a number of years ago when things went when the economy was going rough, and great big huge Fortune 500 company, and they asked people to opt in to take a pay cut for a period of time, and they did that, and everybody was absolutely in, whether they felt they had to or not. And what happened was it allowed the company to remain profitable during a very tough time. And when they came back, they were able to not only restore everybody's pay, but they actually gave bonuses and were able to increase the compensation. So that's another way of thinking about laying off and making sure that you adjust your costs with staffing. Having the conversation is always important. Say, hey, here are some options that we have. Which ones seem good to you? And so that allows you, so instead of just laying people off just willy-nilly and just saying, okay, that's it, then trying some other options. Another mistake that we find is that reducing hours. When you reduce the hours in which you're available as a business and how many hours you're going to work, and not so much for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs as much, although it is, because even entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and people who are only in their business need to consider that you have $1 per hour, which is your worth. You have to be making sure that you're paying yourself in some way that $1 per hour, having yourself set on that. One ensures that you know your value when you go to take on tasks and how much it's costing you as a business, and because you are a business. It makes you understand that my time is valuable and I'm going to employ myself, and you should be doing that. And the income that you get, you bring in to general revenues, and then you divide out your costs and you pay yourself. But by reducing the hours in which especially if you have a brick and mortar, it's very important that if you reduce the number of hours in which you're available, then you reduce the potential profit that you have. And so you have to take a look and say, okay, maybe we're open early and we're open late, and we're not getting a lot of clients in those times. So maybe we'll just shave off a couple of hours, and that again helps reduce on your cost for employees if you have them, and that allows for that. But the problem is if you don't make it established, if you don't say, okay, we're cutting hours, and you don't let your client, the world know, not just your customers, but potential customers, that you have revised hours, and please, go into Google and wherever you have your hours posted on your website and adjust them. When you just if you just cut them and say, okay, I'm not going to be in, and your sign says, okay, you're open till 10, and then you're closed at 8, you're never getting those customers back. Those customers are going to show up and say, oh, you're not open, and then they're going to go away. And so cutting, again, reduces your ability to be profitable, to bring in profit and bring in money, not profit, but bring in sales, and it hurts you in the end. So if you're going to cut back on hours, make sure that it's strategic, make sure that's communicated well, and that the public is aware of it, and make sure it's posted outside on your business, make sure it's posted anywhere that anyone can find you. Social media, Google My Business. Google My Business is a thing. If you're not on Google, then do it. And your websites, make sure that it's everywhere, and make it notable to everybody. That's a big deal that we're cutting our hours for a period of time in order to maintain service levels. And so that's another area that people, I've found, business owners will just go and, I'm not going to go in. And that ends up hurting them more in the end, and they end up reducing the number of clients that they have. And so make sure that you do it appropriately. Another mistake is raising prices, and I say inappropriately here, because raising prices is a fact, and you do need to raise prices. But what tends to happen is people who are especially newer to business, they just try to cover off their costs only by just raising prices. Now, yes, especially during tougher times, people feel it. But there is some increase in costs can be buffered, just letting them know, and you're going to take a hit on your reputation and people's reaction. Say, oh my gosh, you're raising your prices, and you say yes. And if you just raise them, to cover that difference, then you're going to end up having a problem. And what ends up happening is you could drive clients away. Now, that's always an issue, and I've worked with clients who actually undercharge, and I commit or don't charge for some services. And I work hard to convince them that they need to put in a charge. And so people say, well, I might lose customers. Yeah, you might lose potential customers, but you're going to gain a different level of customers, because even during hard times, there are people with money and they're willing to spend it. And people are willing to say, okay, you're raising it by your whatever it is by X amount. And okay, I can see that, you've let them vent, and you go, yep. But the problem is when you try to raise your price too much to make up for those costs, and you shouldn't be thinking about only with your products and services in which you're going to recoup some of that cost differential, because you're paying more for loans, you're paying more for your products from your suppliers. And so making sure that the prices aren't too high, you find other areas in which in order to reduce your costs and help you elevate your ability to manage that. So having a small increase can be acceptable to customers, and if you find other ways of managing in the back end of your system, of your business, that's going to be really beneficial to you. And I'm going to cover into how to do that in a few minutes. But remember that just taking and trying to make up for those cost differentials by adding in more buffer into your products and services can be a potentially fatal problem for you, because they're going to look to your rivals, and there they may find some better values. And if you haven't built up enough of a relationship that they want to do business with you, and they trust you and they like you, and it's very transactional, then those people could be gone. So what we're going to do is talk about 4 ways in which actually 5 ways. I'm going to say the 5 ways in which to protect your business. And the first one is supply chain. And if you have products and services, even services, in order to deliver services, you may have some software or that you need, that you pay for, and even if it comes to websites and social media that you're paying for applications, and there's different ways of supply. I know people who, I do it myself, I render videos for clients, and that video rendering software costs money. And so if I find a cheaper way of doing the same, rendering the videos, then I find myself able to sustain a little bit more of a difference in the cost that I'm putting out now and to what I'm getting in, without maybe having to increase the prices or increase them too much. But talking to your suppliers, if you are especially brick and mortar store, or even if you're doing direct online, talking to your suppliers and finding out different ways of, maybe you find different terms, and, instead of paying for products on a certain term, maybe you can extend those terms. Maybe you can find a different way of, bringing in less product, or having different scheduling in which you're replenishing your product, and that pushing it out a little bit further, changing those things helps you. And sometimes suppliers will, they'll be willing to take a little bit of a hit, maybe not, because they're also feeling the pressures, and you have to go into negotiations. And remember, as a negotiation, go into these negotiations understanding that they're under pressures too. So trying to find a way that will allow you to continue that relationship is good. Or maybe you need to go find a new supplier. Maybe there are options that you haven't seen before. Maybe it's a change of products that allows you to get them at a different price point, that allows you to get out there and be out there to your customer base, that allows you to service them and provide the same products with a lower price point. And that's a way of doing it. Making sure that you're in tune with your supply chain, though, is very important. And as I said, making sure that even you consider that software that you're paying for is managed. So make sure that when you're doing supply chain, there are ways of negotiating. There are ways of getting in different products and finding ways of getting efficiencies there. Next is research. And it sounds kind of weird that, okay, research is going to help, but yes. Once we get into business, we don't, maybe we've done a business plan and we've done the SWOT analysis against our rivals out there and see who else is providing the same products or services. And then we don't necessarily do that on a regular basis. But to take a look what's happening in our industries and understand, is there different ways of delivering these products or services that are made, or maybe there's new products or services to provide that create a new revenue stream. Finding out how they're maybe automating things, find out what they're doing in their back end. And it's tough to do when you just research, but there'll be, for every industry, there's going to be some sort of magazine or some sort of periodical which will help provide you insight about your industry and what's going on, that may allow you to understand what kind of changes you can have. And then maybe you go back a little bit. If you haven't checked in a couple of years, maybe something happened within the last couple of years that you weren't really in tune, or maybe heard something about and you weren't really interested in. And finding what's going on in your industry, you'll find ways of doing things differently, which can help result in a better profit margin and being profitable. Because even during tough times, there are businesses that grow, and it's not just that, okay, well, things are tough all over. Cheech and Chong movie, but there's also what's going on around you and what can you be doing differently. And the next part of it is funding. And businesses, there's a lot of different ways of getting funding and a lot of new ways of getting. It's not just about bringing in profit, but you got to think about grants and loans and partnerships. And finding new ways of bringing in new capital helps you as a business. And there are grants, and grants are available not just through governments, and there's different levels of governments. And you check out municipal, state or provincial, and then federal, and you look around and find out what grants are available, and continually look out there, because there's new programs, new grants available. Maybe it's some sort of advisory services. Maybe it is direct funding. Maybe it's just in help with loans. Maybe it's providing you with ability to some tools that will help you get those grants. But there's also businesses out there that are providing grants. I know right now there's lots of them through telcos and through shipping providers, FedEx, Purolator, Bell Canada, Rogers, they often have grants that are available and allow you to, you go and apply for it, and sometimes they're, even 5 to 10 grand, which can help you in your maybe it's if you're brick and mortar, it can even help with your rent. But also it can help with, they can get into hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so there are grants available and ways of getting them. Now, there are companies that will call you up and say, hey, there's grants and we can help you get this grant if you just give us a cut. And there are businesses that can help you with that, truly, but there are businesses that are only in it for their cut, and they are limited in what they provide. So be very careful in how you go about getting assistance in trying to get those grants. And then there's loans from banks, like your bank, whoever you're doing business, whoever your bank is with. Checking with your bank's rivals, find out if they have a business center. They usually do. And there's also business development banks in Canada. We have BDC, the Business Development Bank of Canada, and credit unions, and they provide loans in different ways of providing options that help you fund yourself get through a period of time. And because you're a business, there's a different amortization, there's different rates that you won't necessarily find at the big banks. And so going and checking out and asking these questions, finding out different ways of getting funding can help you near term or long term. And then also with regards to partnerships, but in Canada, there's 3 different types of partnerships, I think most of the world, but you have general partnerships, limited partnerships, and limited liability partnerships. And I'm not going to get into each of those, but you can get into a partnership with someone who maybe on the back end, and they're a silent partner, and they're providing funding, and they get a payout on a regular basis as a way of investments for them. There are investment capital businesses, but they'll tend to want a little bit more control of your business. They'll have things that they're going to want to put in place. But if you're a growing business, then maybe there's a different way of looking at it. And maybe it's bringing in a partner that's limited in a certain way. And you want to look at these different ways of having people come in and helping your business that will, maybe having experience, especially venture capitalists. They're going to bring in expertise that will help your business grow. And so there's definite payoff there that will help you in the end. So just consider that some grants, loans, and other partnerships that you can actually extend your business and get some extra capital in a time where you need it most. Now, increasing your marketing sounds almost counterintuitive. You're paying more. How am I going to spend more money? Well, your general rule of thumb for marketing is 5 to 15% of your revenue should go to marketing. It should go out there to trying to build new clients. Marketing is also internal. Doing things to maintain clients is important. And so increasing your marketing doesn't necessarily mean at cost, but marketing can even include loyalty programs and different ways of getting people in. Buy 5 coffees, get the 6th one for free. There's different ways that you can do things that provide incentive for people to maintain the business with you. And that goes under marketing. And yes, putting in extra money for marketing will help. And here's one big reason. Your rivals are likely under the same pressures that you are, and they're cutting costs, and marketing is a way of cutting it. And so I'm not just talking about, just putting posts out on social media, because that's a fallacy. Just by putting something out on social media isn't marketing. Marketing and promotion and public relations is getting beyond the people who are already signed up. You've got your groups. You've got 20,000 followers or whatever it is. You got a number of followers and people engaged. That's your core group. That's not marketing. That's internal marketing. They're there, but that's not necessarily generating new business. So you want to be going out there and paying for boosting of posts, paying for ads if it's social media, buying flyers, getting bus ads, paying ads at local restaurants. Providing funding for local teams, the junior leagues. Those things help bring in revenue. Those are marketing and promotional tools, and adding to at those times makes you more visible, which means that if your rivals are cutting back, your people, the public will see you and be more interested in you and come to you. And so increasing your marketing in these times is actually very helpful. And if you do have to, I think the saying is, if you have to borrow from Peter to pay Paul, then then yeah, you do and find ways of getting, even if it's a loan or a grant, or if it's finding reduction in costs in other places in your business to help fund this. It's a very incredible tool because people are still spending money even during tough times. I was a manager at a Michael's Arts and Crafts store, and as we were setting off to get going, the president, Annette Verschuven, she said, "We sell nothing that anybody needs, and we sell it expensively, but people love us, and even during tough times, we're going to make money." It wasn't, that wasn't the money, wasn't the cost. There was more to it. Frame it. She was very much about service. She was very much about, she's a very intelligent, very amazing businesswoman. And but that one part was just proving that yes, that even a company that provides nothing that anybody really needs and at higher prices does make money even during downtimes. So increase your visibility, get your marketing out there. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is processes and procedures. And this is a place where a lot of people, especially once they get going in a business and grow and things get out of hand and they find that they're overworked, and finding simplicity and simple processes and procedures that help your business, software, maybe it's a different way of doing things in the background that allow you to be more efficient and reduce the costs that are plaguing your business. And cost can be a time. Remember, your time is money. So if you're spending more time trying to do your craft, trying to do admin than your craft, then how do you reduce the admin that you have to work on? Entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, how do you become more efficient with your time? And maybe it's software, maybe it's accounting software, maybe it's inventory software that's tied into your online sales. Instead of having to, okay, now I just got the shipment in and I have to put it in this way. How can you streamline that? How can you find new ways of getting people into your business through online check-ins and online systems to book? There's a lot of different ways. I helped several businesses get an online presence that allowed people to just book, and people walk by their business. There's a QR code, and they go, book today, book your appointment now. People walking by would take up their phone, they'd take a picture of the QR code or grab the QR code, go right to the site and book their appointment. And just by adding in this system allowed them to, one, reduce administration costs, because previously it was that people had to call in, book an appointment, someone had to stop what they're doing, answer the phone, go through the thing, find out who's going to be in, go through all that. By having this automated schedule, someone goes on there and clicks and says, yes, I want this, and this is a service I want. It goes and says, here's the resource that we need. It informs them that they got a new appointment, so it reduces management costs there. It reduces their cost of having to take the call and ingest the new person. And it allows them to automate things all the way through, gives them a confirmation. Hey, let us know you're going to be here. Press C on your phone. These things help automate and make sure that your time is spent doing the things that you want to and need to do. So there's a lot of different ways of getting in there and understanding what processes. Maybe it's onboarding. If you're hiring new staff, an onboarding process makes a person feel better and helps them feel like they're winning more efficiently, quickly, and makes them more interested in becoming a part of the team. It allows them to feel good. It allows you to not have to manage things as long. There's so many different ways of helping your business and keeping your costs low. And yes, sometimes it's an investment because you have to pay for new things and integration. But the return on investment in those new processes and procedures and software can really go a long way. And if you're not sure on how to get this done, then there's lots of different ways. You can go talk to other people in your industries and find out other people in your suppliers and whoever else, find out what the ways you're doing. But finding out different ways of getting out and reaching out there. And a business advisor. Business advisors are great, and I'll talk about those in a second because they're one source of help that you can go to. One of the biggest mistakes that people make, and I'm going to say this and go back to the mistake area, is they think that they have to go out alone. And I'm going to say that don't do it alone. You're not alone, and you shouldn't be going in the business. You could talk to people, get a mentor, get an advisor, talk to the people at your bank if you already have a business loan. Find out different ways of getting things to work. Go to a chamber of commerce, your business improvement area, or board of trade. From the government side, you can go to the economic development area of the government and find out what's available and how you can be helpful. Go to your MP for where your business is located. member of parliament or your state representative or wherever you are, whoever that is. Discuss it with family and friends and other people that you know, and just throw some ideas out there, see what they say. Go into business networking groups and find out what you can do. There's all sorts of help and all sorts of places you can go. And again, go to your financial institution, talk to someone in the small business division, and then go to an advisor. And throughout the world, there are small business advisory centers and small business centers that help you, that have people who can help you, and great experience. In Durham region here in Ontario, there's the Business Advisory Center at Durham and BACD, and it's an amazing place. It's in Whitby, and there's some great ones on the GTH. They really are good, and there's people there dedicated to helping businesses grow and helping you understand what is available, and just they'll listen to you. They'll provide services, and so those are free resources generally, or a very nominal cost. They are limited in what they can do, however, because there's only so much that they can do in terms of knowing your business and getting to know you. They're tight on time, not for profits. But then you can also hire someone like me at Jade Strategic Relations to go through your business, look at the systems, look at the way your business is running, find the areas in which you can find efficiencies, find ways, grants that are really good for you, find ways that you're able to extend your business and grow. And it's just that extra set of eyes sometimes. Sometimes it's things you might know, but you go, okay. But sometimes it's, oh, you didn't realize that this was available, or that program was there, or there's a way of doing this in a different way. And having a business advisor come in, we give a free 30-minute discussion to talk to you about your business and where you are at, and maybe give you some advice that will help you from there. Maybe you do need to go in there and take a little bit more of an in-depth analysis and find different ways. And it's a way, again, people think, oh, I got to cut the costs and I'm going to go spend more money. But it saves you, because what happens is the return on investment with a business advisor is incredible, and allows you to get out there and allows you to be more functional, allows you to extend your reach, and just increase your business and help you. So we're going a little over time. I try to keep these in only 20 minutes. I've gone 30 minutes again. I talk a lot, but I hope this was valuable to you. I hope this will give you a lot of information that you can use. Visit jadestrategicrelations.com for more information if you want to talk to a free 30-minute session. JD Thomas at Jade Strategic Relations if you want to reach me. And yes, it's a long name. It's tough to type in. My links are everywhere. But continuing, if you found this on our social media, please take you follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and if you're watching this on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up. Please like and subscribe to this channel. We're growing our subscribership, and we're getting up there, and we're getting more information, providing more help for you and other business owners and people in communication, trying to help just make this a better world through helping you make it a better world. And so that's what we want to do. So help us out. See you next Thursday. And if you want some more, there's going to be more tip videos, more information going out. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week.